Alright, hello everyone. Today this is not a video game related video. This is going to be the proper way to light and prepare a cigar. So I've been smoking cigars off and on ever since I graduated high school. And it was only in the last year or two that I realized that I was lighting them and preparing them the wrong way. And I'll explain the proper way to do it. First off, you have your cigar. And the first thing you want to do is make sure you cut the end off so you can draw through the cigar. Now, I've seen a number of different ways people will do this. Some people use a spike like this, where you can poke a hole into the cigar. I found that doing that, I don't like the way the draw is. You're not getting enough airflow through it. I prefer not to do it that way. For the longest time, what I did, I have a Swiss Army knife with scissors on it, and I would trim around the cap and peel it off. Now you can do that, although it tends to have kind of a rough cut to it, and you end up with a lot of little pieces of tobacco in your mouth when you smoke it. So most people will go with a cutter. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of cutters that I have. This is a very cheap single guillotine cutter. It got a complimentary at a tobacco store. It actually works fairly well if you cut a couple cigars with it. When you get them brand new, it's relatively sharp, although the blade is extremely thin and cheap. It'll dull quickly. So because there's only one blade, as soon as it starts to dull, you're going to be crushing your cigars and tearing them rather than cutting. So I prefer not to use this one. Now, I do have a slightly better... Oh, I seem to have lost it. I have a cheaper double guillotine cutter that I bought at a tobacco shop for like $3 or $4, and even though it has two blades, as I said, it's very cheap, and it was crushing the cigars rather than cutting them almost right away. Now, this is a Calibri cutter. It's a V-cut. Some people prefer the V-cut. I prefer the guillotine cut. This is a very high quality one. I use it on occasion. You got to be careful cutting this one though, because it's kind of difficult to see in the camera there, but the depth of the notch is very deep, so it's possible to actually overcut the cigar, which affects the draw also in a different way. So this is my preferred cutter. It's a cigar, and it costs a little bit more, about in the range of $35 to $40, depending on what kind you're getting. Although I think it's worth it. Zycar is guaranteed for life. You will get you ship it back to the factory, and they will sharpen it for you. So when you cut it, you want to cut where the cap is still crowning. If you cut too high up, then the tobacco wrapper will unravel and the cigar will fall apart, which you don't want. So take a couple puffs on it, make sure you get a good draw. So we're good to go in here. So after you cut it, next step is lighting it. Now, as I said, it wasn't until recently I found out I was lighting them wrong. I had a Zippo lighter that I was using for a while, and I would hold it like this and puff while I was lighting it. You'll see a lot of people do this, even in movies. For example, one of the first people I ever saw smoke a cigar in a movie whose style I imitated for the longest time is the movie Scarface. Al Pacino's character lights a cigar with a big Zippo lighter and puffs on the flame. The reason you don't want to do that is, one, if you have a regular lighter, the fuel flavor will carry over to the cigar through the flame, so that's bad. And also, if you draw in as you're lighting it, then you're going to get a lot of smoke and ash up into the cigar itself, which will make it get a much more bitter, sooty flavor much faster. So you want to avoid using a standard lighter. Another option, of course, is matches. Now, this is a standard matchbook with your little cardboard matches. You don't want to use these because they're going to burn down very quickly. A lot of the cardboard in these is chemically treated, so some of that flavor will carry over into the cigar, which you want to avoid doing. So what you want is wooden matches. So you can get these from a tobacco shop, complimentary or very cheap. And if you're going to light a bigger cigar like this, you're probably going to want to do two at a time. And what you do, you're going to light it, and you let the head of the match burn down until you reach the wood. The reason you want to do that is, again, the chemicals and sulfur in the match tip will carry over into the flavor of the cigar, which you want to avoid. So you just want the wood itself burning. Alternatively, some nicer wooden matches are the longer ones like this, which, if you're going to do matches, that's the way to go. Now, some people will take cedar, like for example, this cigar tube comes with a roll of cedar and light cedar, and use that as a match. And also, you can get a chunk of cedar as a pack-in if you buy entire boxes of cigars. So some people will split those up and use those as well. Now, what I do is I have looks like a Zippo. It is a Zippo, but I have a butane insert for it. So the flame's not showing up because I'm outside in the light. But this is a single torch. I also have another one, which is a double torch, which is easier to use for the larger cigars. And as I said, you don't want to puff inward as you're lighting the cigar, because you're going to draw the soot and ash into it. So you're going to want to toast the end of the cigar with the lighter, and so you get a nice even burn across the front of it. So that's looking about good. Didn't get that one side right there. So that's it, the proper way to prepare and light a cigar. Enjoy. Alright, hello again. I did find the other cutter I was talking about. I put my iPad on and I started recording. So this one, as I said, was a cheap one I got for $3 or $4 at a tobacco shop. And I really did get what I paid for in this instance, because it's stiff, difficult to operate, and very dull right out of the box. So I was crushing my cigars. I only used this maybe 2 or 3 times. And also, I didn't explain very well why butane is the way to go. Butane burns hotter than your standard lighter, and it doesn't transfer the fuel flavor or chemicals into the cigar itself. So that's why, if you want to use a lighter, go with butane. Enjoy your cigar.